Have you noticed that Allah may be changing your heart before changing your relationship status? The wrong people are leaving, your standards are rising, your past is finally healing, and you no longer feel the need to force what brings you confusion. These changes may not be random. Sometimes, before Allah brings the right person into your life, He first prepares your heart to recognize them. Listen carefully, because one of these 6 signs may already be unfolding in your life. 1. Allah removes the wrong people. One of the first signs that Allah may be preparing your life for the right person is separation from the wrong ones. Sometimes, people you were deeply attached to suddenly become distant. A connection you believed would last may end, plans may collapse, and doors you begged Allah to open may remain firmly closed. In that moment, it can feel like rejection, loneliness, or even punishment. But with time, you may begin to understand that what hurt you was actually protecting you. Allah sees the intentions you cannot see, the future you do not know, and the pain that certain people could bring into your life. He knows who may weaken your faith, disturb your peace, waste your time, or keep you emotionally trapped in a relationship that was never meant to become your future. You may only see the love you feel, but Allah sees where that path will eventually lead. Not every person who leaves your life is a loss. Some people are removed because their role in your journey has ended. Others are removed because you kept holding on to them so tightly that there was no space left in your heart for something healthier, more sincere, and more peaceful. Do not keep chasing a door that Allah has repeatedly closed. Do not lose your dignity trying to convince someone to stay when they have already chosen to leave. Sometimes, the ending you are crying over is the protection you once prayed for without realizing it. Trust that Allah does not remove without wisdom. What leaves your life may be making room for what truly belongs there, and the person written for you will not require you to destroy your peace just to keep them. 2. Your standards begin to change. Another powerful sign that Allah may be preparing you for the right person is that your standards begin to change. You are no longer impressed by appearance, sweet words, temporary attention, or promises that are never followed by action. What once attracted you may now feel empty because your heart is beginning to desire something deeper, more sincere, and more meaningful. You start understanding that a beautiful face cannot guarantee a peaceful marriage, and romantic words cannot replace honesty, loyalty, patience, and good character. Instead of asking whether someone gives you excitement, you begin asking whether they respect your faith, protect your dignity, communicate clearly, and have serious intentions for the future. This change is not because you have become difficult or demanding. It may be because Allah is giving you wisdom after everything you have experienced. The wrong person may make your heart race while leaving your soul anxious and confused. The right person will not be perfect, but their presence will bring honesty, safety, respect, and a clear desire to build something halal. They will not constantly test your worth through mixed signals or force you to accept less than what you know is healthy. When your standards rise, some people may no longer fit into your life, and that is not a loss. Allah may be teaching you to stop choosing people only because you fear being alone. He may be preparing you to recognize someone whose character matches your prayers, not merely someone who satisfies your emotions for a short time. So do not lower your standards just because waiting feels difficult. Protect your heart, remain sincere, and remember that the person written for you should bring you closer to peace, responsibility, and Allah, not further away from them. 3. Allah heals you from your past. Before Allah brings the right person into your life, He may first begin healing the parts of your heart that were damaged by the wrong experiences. Old memories may return, hidden emotions may rise, and pain you thought you had forgotten may suddenly become impossible to ignore. This can feel uncomfortable, but healing often begins when Allah allows you to see what is still controlling your thoughts, choices, and fears. Perhaps someone betrayed your trust, made you feel unworthy, or left without giving you the closure you needed. Because of that pain, you may expect every new person to hurt you in the same way. You may become afraid of commitment, suspicious of sincere intentions, or emotionally attached to people who repeat familiar patterns. Allah does not want your future to be ruled by wounds from your past, so He may lead you through a season of reflection, patience, and emotional growth. Healing does not mean pretending that nothing happened. It means understanding the lesson without carrying the pain into every new connection. It means forgiving for the sake of your own peace, rebuilding your self-respect, and accepting that some answers may never come from the people who hurt you. True closure often begins when you stop waiting for an apology and start trusting that Allah saw everything. The person written for you should not be forced to fight a battle created by someone from your past. A healthy relationship needs trust, emotional honesty, and the ability to love without constantly expecting betrayal. That is why Allah may keep you alone for a time, not to punish you, but to restore you. When you notice that old memories no longer control your emotions, that you can think about the past without wanting to return to it, and that your heart is becoming open without becoming careless, this may be a sign that healing is taking place. Allah may be preparing you to receive a sincere love with a peaceful heart instead of a wounded one. 4. You feel drawn toward dua and self-improvement. Another powerful sign that Allah may be preparing you for the person written for you is that your prayers begin to change. In the past, you may have asked Allah only to send someone into your life, remove your loneliness, or make a particular person choose you. But as your heart grows, your dua becomes deeper. You stop asking only for a relationship and begin asking for a relationship that carries peace, sincerity, faith, and Allah's blessing. You begin to understand that meeting the right person is not enough. You must also become emotionally, spiritually, and mentally ready to recognize and protect that blessing. So instead of praying only, Ya Allah, send me the right person, you begin saying, Ya Allah, make me the right person too. Correct my character, purify my intentions, heal my weaknesses, and prepare me for the responsibility of a sincere marriage. This change in your dua is important because it shows that you are no longer seeking someone merely to fill an empty space. You are beginning to understand that marriage is not an escape from loneliness. It is a responsibility, a partnership, and a journey that requires patience, mercy, communication, forgiveness, and sacrifice. The person written for you is not coming only to make you happy. They will also have fears, wounds, weaknesses, and difficult days. Allah may be preparing you to love them with maturity rather than expecting them to be perfect. During this season, you may feel a stronger desire to improve yourself. You begin examining the habits you once ignored. You notice how quickly you become angry, how easily you misunderstand people, or how often your emotions control your decisions. Instead of blaming everyone around you, you begin asking what you need to change within yourself. You may start protecting your prayers more carefully, controlling your words, improving your manners, and becoming more honest about your intentions. You become more thoughtful about the way you treat your family because you realize that the character you show at home will eventually appear in marriage. You begin learning how to communicate without hurting others, how to listen without becoming defensive, and how to disagree without becoming disrespectful. This is not accidental growth. Allah may be teaching you the qualities you will need in your future relationship. Perhaps you once believed that love was only about strong feelings, attraction, and beautiful moments. But Allah may now be showing you that real love requires discipline. It requires keeping promises when emotions change, remaining gentle during conflict, and choosing loyalty even when life becomes difficult. It requires two people who are willing to grow, not two people who expect each other to heal every wound. You may also begin to understand why some previous connections did not work. Maybe you were not ready to communicate clearly. Maybe you accepted poor treatment because you feared being alone. Perhaps you became attached too quickly, ignored warning signs, or placed another person above your relationship with Allah. These realizations are not meant to make you ashamed. They are meant to make you wiser. Allah can use your past to educate your heart without allowing your past to define your future. As you improve, your dua may become less focused on a particular face and more focused on the qualities that truly matter. You begin asking for someone who fears Allah, respects your dignity, speaks with honesty, and approaches marriage with serious intentions. You ask for someone who will not only love you during comfortable moments, but will remain patient during hardship. You begin praying for a relationship that strengthens your faith rather than distracting you from it. This is a sign of maturity because you are no longer asking Allah to give you what simply looks attractive. You are asking Him to give you what is truly good for your dunya and your akhirah. Sometimes, Allah delays a blessing because receiving it too early could cause you to misuse it. A person may enter your life with sincere intentions, but if you are still controlled by jealousy, insecurity, anger, or emotional dependence, you may push them away or damage the connection without realizing it. Allah's delay may therefore be an invitation to prepare. This waiting period is not empty. It is a classroom. Every disappointment teaches you discernment. Every lonely night teaches you reliance on Allah. Every closed door teaches you patience. Every unanswered question teaches you to surrender what you cannot control. Through these experiences, Allah may be building the emotional strength you will one day need to protect a peaceful marriage. You may notice that you no longer spend all your time searching for signs in other people. Instead, you begin looking at your own heart. You ask yourself whether you are ready to be honest, whether you can accept someone's imperfections, and whether you know how to give love without losing yourself. You begin building a life with purpose instead of waiting for another person to give your life meaning. This is one of the most beautiful forms of preparation. The right person should add goodness to your life, but they should not become the only reason you feel valuable. When you know your worth through Allah, you do not become desperate for attention. You do not chase unclear people or accept disrespect just to avoid loneliness. You become capable of choosing with wisdom because your heart is no longer starving for validation. You also begin to pray with greater surrender. Instead of demanding that Allah give you someone immediately, you begin saying, Ya Allah, if this person is good for me, bring them closer in a halal and peaceful way. If they are harmful to my faith or future, remove them from my heart, even if I do not understand. This type of dua requires trust, because it gives Allah permission to protect you from what you strongly desire. It means you are willing to accept His answer, even when His answer is different from your plan. The more sincere your relationship with Allah becomes, the less frightened you feel about timing. You understand that your future is not being forgotten. Allah is not unaware of the prayers you whisper when no one else can hear you. He knows the companionship you desire, the family you hope to build, and the fears you carry about being alone. But He also knows exactly what kind of person will be good for you and when your heart will be ready to receive them. So use this season wisely. Do not wait passively while asking Allah to change your life. Work on the qualities that will allow you to protect the blessing when it arrives. Strengthen your faith, improve your communication, heal your emotional wounds, and learn to take responsibility for your actions. Become someone who can bring peace into another person's life, not only someone who wants another person to bring peace into yours. When your dua becomes more sincere, your standards become more meaningful, and your character begins to improve. This may be one of the clearest signs that Allah is preparing you. He may not have introduced you to the right person yet because He is first introducing you to a better version of yourself. And when the time is right, you may realize that the waiting season was never a delay without purpose. It was the place where Allah taught your heart how to recognize, receive, and protect the love you had been praying for. 5. You stop forcing connections. Another powerful sign that Allah may be preparing you for the person written for you is that you stop forcing connections that constantly leave you confused, exhausted, and uncertain. You begin to understand that not every strong feeling is a sign to continue, and not every person you desire is meant to remain in your life. Your heart may still care, but your soul becomes tired of chasing people who never offer clarity, consistency, or sincere intention. In the past, you may have tried to keep certain relationships alive by doing all the work yourself. You started every conversation, repaired every disagreement, excused every broken promise, and continued giving chances even when nothing truly changed. You convinced yourself that if you became more patient, more understanding, or more available, the other person would finally recognize your value and choose you properly. But slowly, Allah may begin teaching you an important truth. Love should not require you to abandon your dignity. This does not mean that a healthy relationship will always be easy. Every sincere connection requires effort, patience, compromise, forgiveness, and honest communication. There will be misunderstandings, difficult seasons, and moments when both people must choose maturity over pride. However, there is a major difference between working together to protect a relationship and struggling alone to keep someone interested. You should not have to beg for basic respect. You should not have to chase someone for honesty, constantly interpret mixed signals, or wonder whether you matter to them. A person who is serious about building something halal may not be perfect, but their intentions should not remain hidden forever. Their words and actions should gradually move toward clarity, responsibility, and commitment. When Allah begins preparing your heart, you become less attracted to confusion. What once felt exciting now feels emotionally draining. You no longer mistake inconsistency for mystery or emotional distance for strength. You begin recognizing that someone who repeatedly disappears, returns when they feel lonely, and offers attention without intention is not necessarily your soulmate. They may simply be a test of whether you have learned to protect your heart. Sometimes people stay trapped in uncertain connections because they fear that letting go will mean losing their only chance at love. They hold on to someone who gives them very little because they are afraid no one better will come. They believe that a painful connection is still better than being alone. But when your trust in Allah becomes stronger, this fear begins to lose its power. You realize that the person written for you cannot be stolen by distance, delay, or another person. What Allah has decreed for you will reach you in the way and at the time He allows. You do not need to destroy your peace to secure what already belongs in your destiny. And you do not need to hold tightly to someone Allah is repeatedly showing you is not ready, sincere, or right for your journey. This realization changes the way you respond to people. You stop sending long messages to explain your worth to someone committed to misunderstanding you. You stop repeatedly asking where you stand when their actions have already answered the question. You stop accepting temporary attention as proof of serious intention. Most importantly, you stop believing that losing someone means losing your future. Your future is with Allah, not in the hands of another human being. There may come a moment when you still miss someone, but you no longer reach for them. You may still remember the good moments, but you also remember the anxiety, disappointment, and uncertainty that surrounded the connection. You finally understand that missing someone does not always mean you should return to them. Sometimes, you miss the hope you attached to that person more than the reality of who they were. You imagined a future, created possibilities in your mind, and became emotionally connected to what the relationship could have become. When it ended, you did not only lose the person, you also lost the dream you built around them. That is why letting go can feel so painful. But healing begins when you stop loving potential more than reality. You begin judging people by the character they consistently show, not by the person you hope they may become one day. You no longer remain in a damaging situation because of occasional kindness or beautiful words. You understand that sincerity is revealed through patterns, not rare moments. A person can say that they care, but do they respect your boundaries? They can say that they see a future with you, but are they willing to take responsible steps toward it? They can apologize, but do their actions change? They can promise to become better, but do they make a genuine effort? When Allah gives you wisdom, these questions become more important than emotional attachment. You also learn that forcing a connection can sometimes take you away from Allah. You may become so focused on one person that your prayers lose concentration, your mood depends entirely on their messages, and your peace rises and falls according to their attention. Your heart begins treating their approval as if it controls your worth. This kind of attachment can become spiritually dangerous because no human being was created to carry the place in your heart that belongs to Allah. When a person becomes the center of your happiness, their distance feels like destruction. But when Allah is at the center, you can love deeply without losing yourself completely. You can care about someone while still accepting that Allah knows whether they are good for you. Stopping yourself from forcing connections does not make you cold, proud, or heartless. It means you have learned that sincere love cannot grow through pressure. You cannot force someone to become emotionally available. You cannot force them to communicate honestly, respect your faith, or desire a halal future. You can express your intentions clearly, but their response belongs to them. Your responsibility is to observe, choose wisely, and protect your dignity. You may also notice that you become more comfortable with silence. Before, when someone became distant, you immediately panicked. You sent messages, searched for explanations, and blamed yourself for every change in their behavior. Now, you allow people to reveal their intentions without constantly chasing them for answers. You understand that silence can expose what words attempt to hide. When you stop forcing, the wrong people often remove themselves naturally. Those who only enjoyed your attention may disappear when you stop overgiving. Those who were comfortable receiving your effort without returning it may accuse you of changing, but you have not become cruel. You have simply stopped carrying a connection that required two people. This creates room in your life. Every unhealthy attachment consumes emotional energy. It keeps you thinking, waiting, analyzing, and hoping. When you finally release it, that energy returns to you. You become more focused on your faith, purpose, family, health, and personal growth. You begin building a life that is already meaningful before another person enters it. This is important because desperation can make people ignore warning signs. When you believe you need a relationship to feel complete, you may accept almost anyone who offers attention. But when your life has purpose and your heart is connected to Allah, you become more careful about whom you allow close to you. You do not choose someone because you need to be rescued from loneliness. You choose them because their character, intentions, and direction are compatible with the life you are trying to build. The right connection will still require courage. You may still feel afraid, especially if you have been hurt before. But you will not feel as though you must constantly fight to prove that you deserve a place in that person's life. There should be mutual effort. When you speak, they listen. When there is a misunderstanding, they seek resolution instead of disappearing. When intentions become serious, they do not keep you hidden in uncertainty. They respect your faith and understand that a halal relationship requires more than emotional promises. The right person will not ask you to compromise your values simply to keep them close. This does not mean every peaceful connection is automatically written for marriage, nor does it mean every challenge proves a person is wrong for you. Life is more complex than that. But clarity, respect, and consistency remain important signs of emotional and spiritual maturity. When you stop forcing connections, you surrender the outcome to Allah. You make dua, take responsible steps, and communicate honestly, but you no longer try to control another person's heart. You understand that guidance belongs to Allah and that the strongest effort cannot make the wrong person right for you. This surrender brings peace. You may say, Ya Allah, I care about this person, but I care more about what you know. If this connection is good for my faith, heart, and future, open the way with clarity and blessing. If it will harm me, remove it gently and give me the strength not to return to what you have saved me from. That dua is powerful because it places wisdom above desire. Sometimes Allah answers by bringing two people closer in a responsible and halal way. Other times He answers by exposing behavior you were ignoring. The person may reveal their true intentions, a hidden truth may come to light, or circumstances may repeatedly block the path. Do not ignore every warning simply because you are emotionally attached. At the same time, do not interpret every small difficulty as a sign to leave. Seek wisdom, consult trustworthy people, observe character over time, and ask Allah for guidance. The goal is not to become suspicious of everyone. The goal is to stop sacrificing yourself for connections that clearly lack honesty, peace, and direction. There is strength in walking away from what repeatedly damages you. It may hurt at first. You may wonder whether you gave up too early or lost someone special. But eventually, peace may replace the anxiety you thought was love. You may realize that the connection was keeping you emotionally occupied but spiritually empty. What you feared losing may have been the very thing preventing you from receiving something healthier. When Allah prepares you for the right person, He may teach you that love is not proved by how much pain you can tolerate. Patience does not mean accepting disrespect, and loyalty does not mean remaining where your dignity is repeatedly damaged. Healthy love should help both people grow. It should encourage honesty, responsibility, mercy, and a closer relationship with Allah. It should not require one person to disappear inside the needs of the other. So when you notice that you are no longer chasing unclear people, no longer begging for attention, and no longer holding on simply because you are afraid to be alone, recognize the growth taking place within you. Allah may be teaching your heart to stop choosing from fear. You are learning to wait with dignity, love with wisdom, and leave when a connection repeatedly pulls you away from peace and faith. This may be part of your preparation for a person who will not need to be forced into your life. The person written for you will still have free will, weaknesses, and imperfections, but a sincere connection will carry mutual intention. You will not be the only one trying to protect it. Until that person arrives, do not exhaust yourself knocking on doors that Allah has kept closed. Step back, protect your heart, and trust that the love meant for you will not require you to become smaller, more desperate, or less faithful just to receive it. Sometimes, stopping the chase is the moment your heart finally becomes ready for what Allah truly wants to send. 6. Allah's timing begins to make sense. One of the clearest signs that Allah may be preparing you for the person written for you is that you begin to understand the wisdom of timing. You may still desire marriage, companionship, and someone who truly understands your heart, but waiting no longer feels like proof that Allah has forgotten you. Instead, you slowly begin to see that delay can carry protection, preparation, and mercy. There may have been a time when you looked at other people's lives and wondered why their prayers seemed to be answered before yours. You watched friends become engaged, relatives begin families, and people who appeared less prepared receive the relationship you had been asking for. Quietly, you may have questioned whether something was wrong with you or whether your future would ever change. Comparison can make waiting feel heavier than it truly is. You begin measuring your life against someone else's timeline, forgetting that Allah writes every journey differently. The door that opened quickly for another person may have required years of preparation that you never saw. The marriage that looks perfect from the outside may carry tests that remain hidden. What appears delayed in your life may actually be arriving at the exact moment that protects your faith, heart, and future. Allah does not work according to social pressure. He is not influenced by your age, the opinions of relatives, or the questions people repeatedly ask you. Others may make you feel as though you are falling behind, but you are not behind when you are moving according to Allah's decree. Your value is not reduced because your story is unfolding differently from the stories around you. When Allah's timing begins to make sense, you stop asking only, "Why has it not happened yet?" and begin asking, "What is Allah teaching me while I wait?" Perhaps He is teaching you patience that you will need in marriage. Perhaps He is helping you develop emotional stability before another person becomes part of your life. Perhaps He is strengthening your faith so that love does not become your entire identity. Perhaps the person who may one day enter your life is also being prepared through experiences you know nothing about. Two people can desire the same future while still needing time to become ready for it. The person written for you may currently be healing from their own past, learning responsibility, correcting harmful habits, or becoming more serious about their relationship with Allah. You may be praying to meet them now, while Allah knows that meeting too early could create confusion, pain, or an ending that neither of you was mature enough to prevent. Timing can determine whether a connection becomes a blessing or a burden. A good person met at the wrong stage of life may still become part of a painful experience. Strong feelings cannot always overcome emotional immaturity, poor communication, weak boundaries, financial irresponsibility, or unclear intentions. Allah may delay the meeting until both hearts are more capable of carrying what they are asking to receive. This does not mean you must become perfect before marriage. No one reaches complete perfection. It means Allah may use the waiting season to build enough wisdom, patience, and self-awareness for you to enter a relationship with greater maturity. You may eventually look back and realize that an earlier answer to your dua would not have given you the peace you imagined. At that time, you may have chosen someone only because you were lonely. You may have ignored warning signs because you desperately wanted the relationship to work. You may have confused attention with love and attachment with compatibility. The delay may have protected you from making a permanent decision during a temporary season of weakness. Sometimes Allah allows you to wait until you stop wanting marriage for the wrong reasons. You no longer see it as proof that you are worthy, successful, or finally equal to everyone else. You begin to desire it as a partnership built upon mercy, responsibility, honesty, and faith. This change matters because the reason you want something can affect how you treat it when you receive it. When you expect marriage to remove every sadness, heal every insecurity, and give your life complete meaning, you may place impossible pressure on another person. No spouse can carry the responsibility of making you feel whole every moment. They can support you, love you, and walk beside you, but they cannot replace your relationship with Allah or perform the healing work you have refused to face. Allah's timing may give you the space to discover this before you enter a serious commitment. You begin building peace while you are still waiting. You create meaningful routines, strengthen your family relationships, care for your emotional health, and develop a life that is not empty without romantic attention. You stop putting your entire future on hold. This does not remove your desire for companionship. It purifies it. You no longer need someone to rescue you from your life. You want someone with whom you can share a life that already has faith, direction, and purpose. This makes you less vulnerable to manipulation because you are not accepting anyone simply to escape loneliness. When Allah's timing starts making sense, you also become less interested in chasing signs that promise an immediate answer. You stop treating every coincidence, dream, message, or sudden feeling as definite proof that someone is your soulmate. You understand that true guidance requires more than emotion. You look for character, consistency, sincere intention, compatibility, and a path that can move toward what is halal. You make dua, seek wise counsel, and observe reality instead of building your future upon imagination. This is an important form of maturity. Waiting can make people impatient, and impatience can make almost any attention feel meaningful. A person appears at the right emotional moment, speaks beautifully, and suddenly you believe every prayer has been answered. But Allah's timing teaches you not to rush into conclusions. What is truly good for you will not become better because you ignored wisdom. You learn to allow a connection to reveal itself gradually. You observe how the person behaves when disappointed, how they treat people who cannot benefit them, whether their words match their actions, and whether their intentions remain clear when circumstances become difficult. You stop rushing because you trust that what is written for you does not need to be secured through panic. This trust does not mean you become passive. Islam teaches responsibility, not carelessness. You still take appropriate steps. You let trusted people know you are open to marriage, improve your communication, widen your opportunities in respectful ways, and seek guidance when a serious proposal appears. Trusting Allah does not mean refusing to act. It means acting without believing that every result depends entirely on you. You plant the seed, but Allah determines how and when it grows. Sometimes people say they trust Allah while secretly trying to control every detail. They become attached to one person, one method, or one imagined future, and then ask Allah only to approve the plan they have already created. But real trust means allowing Allah's answer to be different from your desire. You may pray for someone specific and later discover that losing them was an answer. You may ask for marriage quickly and later understand why the delay protected you. You may believe one path is the only path, only for Allah to open a door you never knew existed. His wisdom is not limited by your imagination. The moment Allah's timing begins to make sense is often the moment you stop demanding to understand everything immediately. You accept that some wisdom becomes clear only after the season has passed. A closed door may feel cruel today and merciful 2 years later. A rejection may feel humiliating in the moment and life-saving once hidden truths are revealed. A period of loneliness may feel empty until you recognize how much strength, discipline and self-knowledge it developed inside you. You begin to see that Allah was not doing nothing during the silence. He was changing your standards, healing your wounds, exposing unhealthy attachments, and teaching you how to recognize sincerity. He was removing people you would never have released on your own. He was helping you become less dependent on human approval and more secure in His care. The waiting was active, even when your life appeared still. There may also be moments when your faith becomes tired. You may understand these lessons and still feel lonely. You may trust Allah and still cry when another opportunity ends. Trust does not require you to deny your emotions. You are allowed to feel disappointed. You are allowed to admit that waiting is difficult. Patience is not pretending that pain does not exist. Patience is continuing to choose faith while the pain exists. You may say, "Ya Allah, I trust you, but my heart is tired. Give me strength, protect me from desperation, and do not let my loneliness lead me toward what is harmful." This is not weakness. It is honesty before the one who already knows your heart. Allah's timing may become easier to accept when you realize that receiving the wrong person quickly is not better than receiving the right person later. An immediate relationship can bring years of regret, while a delayed blessing can bring stability you were not yet able to imagine. Speed is not always mercy, and delay is not always denial. People often celebrate beginnings without knowing where those paths lead. They congratulate engagements, weddings, and new relationships, but only Allah knows which connections will become peaceful and which will become painful. Your goal should not be to reach marriage before everyone else. Your goal should be to enter it with wisdom and seek Allah's blessing within it. When this truth settles in your heart, social pressure begins to lose its control. You become less disturbed by questions such as, "Why are you still single?" or "When will you get married?" You understand that people speak from limited knowledge. They do not know what Allah has protected you from, what He is preparing for you, or what He is developing within you. You do not have to explain your entire journey to people who only see the surface. Your silence can carry trust. Your waiting can carry dignity. You also stop believing that a certain age marks the end of possibility. Allah is not limited by the timelines people create. What seems late according to society may be perfectly timed according to divine wisdom. Many people meet important blessings after they believe the opportunity had passed. The future does not close simply because it did not follow your preferred schedule. You may be closer to a major change than you realize, but even if the answer is still distant, your responsibility remains the same. Protect your faith, continue growing, and do not let uncertainty push you into an unhealthy choice. A tired heart can make dangerous compromises. It may accept secrecy instead of commitment, attention instead of respect, and promises instead of action. This is why trusting Allah's timing is also a form of protection. When you truly believe that what is written for you will reach you, you no longer feel the need to accept every person who appears. You can walk away from dishonesty without believing you have lost your only chance. You can reject a harmful proposal without fearing that another will never come. Trust gives you the courage to choose wisely. This does not mean that the person written for you will arrive without obstacles. There may be practical challenges, family discussions, distance, financial concerns, or periods that require patience. A meaningful path is not always an effortless path. The difference is that the difficulty will not be built entirely upon confusion, disrespect, and one-sided effort. There will be enough clarity and sincerity for both people to address the challenges responsibly. You will not have to call chaos a sign from Allah simply because you want the connection to survive. As your understanding of timing deepens, you begin to ask for barakah rather than speed. You stop praying only, "Ya Allah, give it to me now," and begin praying, "Ya Allah, give it to me when it will be good for me and protect me if I am asking too soon." That dua requires courage because it places your future in Allah's hands instead of your emotions. You may also begin to understand that the person written for you is not the only blessing being prepared. Allah may be building a new version of your life around the meeting. He may be creating the right circumstances, improving your stability, strengthening family relationships, or moving you toward places and opportunities connected to your future. You cannot see all the pieces, but Allah sees the complete picture. Your life may appear delayed because you are looking at one unanswered prayer while Allah is arranging many connected details. A meeting, a marriage, and a shared future involve more than two emotions. They involve timing, responsibility, families, circumstances, and countless events that must come together in ways you cannot control. This is why surrender can bring greater peace than constant analysis. You do not need to predict how you will meet, when it will happen, or what every sign means. You need to remain sincere and ready to respond wisely when a real opportunity appears. The strongest evidence of preparation may not be that someone suddenly enters your life. It may be that uncertainty no longer controls you. You can desire love without worshipping the outcome. You can wait without believing you are worthless. You can take action without becoming desperate. Your heart becomes softer, but your judgment becomes stronger. You remain hopeful, but you are no longer easily deceived by empty promises. You believe in Allah's ability to change your life, but you do not use that belief to ignore reality. You understand that faith and wisdom should work together. Then, when the right door begins to open, you may recognize why the previous doors had to close. You may finally understand why certain people left, why some plans failed, and why your loneliness lasted longer than you expected. The answer may not look exactly like the dream you once created, but it may carry the peace, respect, and sincerity you truly needed. You may look back and say, "Had this happened earlier, I would not have been ready. Had that person stayed, I would never have reached this place. Had Allah given me what I demanded, I might have lost what He was preparing." That is when delay transforms into wisdom. Until that moment arrives, do not treat your waiting season as wasted life. Continue learning, serving, healing, and becoming closer to Allah. Let your days carry purpose even before your dua is answered in the way you hope. The person written for you should meet someone who has been living, not someone who has been emotionally frozen while waiting. Build a heart that can receive love without becoming dependent upon it. Build a faith that remains steady when another person is imperfect. Build the patience to communicate, the humility to apologize, and the courage to leave what is clearly harmful. These qualities will serve you whether marriage comes soon or later. And remember that no script can promise exactly when or how Allah will bring someone into your life. These lessons are reminders to trust His wisdom, protect your heart, and approach relationships with sincerity. Allah alone knows what has been written for each person, so keep making dua. But do not allow the dua to become anxiety. Keep hoping, but do not let hope make you careless. Take halal steps, but do not force what Allah has not opened. What is truly meant for you will not require you to betray your faith to receive it. When Allah's timing begins to make sense, you no longer believe that waiting means nothing is happening. You understand that some of the greatest changes take place quietly, beneath the surface, before the answer becomes visible. Perhaps Allah is not keeping love away from you. Perhaps He is protecting it until the moment both you and the blessing are ready to meet. Trust Him during the silence, because the one who wrote your future has not forgotten a single prayer your heart has made. Perhaps the greatest sign is not that someone has already entered your life, but that Allah is changing the person you are becoming before they arrive. The wrong people are leaving. Your heart is healing. Your standards are rising, and you are learning to trust what Allah removes, delays, and prepares. So do not chase what brings confusion, and do not lose hope because your dua has not been answered yet. Continue growing, protect your faith, and take only sincere and halal steps, because when Allah opens the right door, you may finally understand why every wrong door had to close. May Allah bring you a spouse who protects your heart, strengthens your faith, respects your dignity, and becomes a source of peace in your life. And until that day comes, remember, waiting with Allah is never wasted. Allah knows best.